We on? Welcome back to PonyFans Live here at Lakewood's First and 10. Brought to you by Game Day Cloth. Love your team, love your clothes. Visit GameDayCloth.com. And Lakewood's First and 10, recently named by D Magazine as the best sports bar in Dallas. We are joined now by defensive coordinator Tom Mason. And Coach, 2 years ago you inherited a team that had primarily run a 4-3 prior to your arrival.
Right.
And let's say you had some growing pains your first year. Last year you dropped 10 points a game off of the amount of the scoring that you gave up, and suddenly you're a genius.
I don't know about that genius status.
What was the difference? What changed between 08 and 09 that made your defense so much more effective last year?
Well, a lot of it was just the growth in the program and the fact that we needed to shift from a 4-3 because it fit our personnel better to be a 3-4 team. And the 3-4 defense fits better with the run and shoot offense. You don't see tight ends and those type of kids on campus, tight ends, fullbacks. So you're going to have to become a pressure defense, and you're going to have to overcompensate for not getting the looks that you'd see if you were in a approach style offense or anything like that. And just fit better, and the kids were in the program and they understood what it took.
So one of the players that you inherited was a somewhat undersized linebacker who had transferred from A&M.
Yeah.
Can you sit here and tell us that you saw a 135 tackle season in Chase?
You know, we found him late in that first year. We were going, I think it was the El Paso game. We went in and we said, you know, this kid keeps making plays in practice. And we'd had some injuries. We'd kicked some kids off and did some different things. And so he played, and he really played well in that game. And, you know, as coaches, when you inherit a new program, you're just trying to get a feel for who can do what. And he really stood out. And when we got into the spring, you know, I knew I had a special player there. You know, that's just the way it turned out, and we schemed the defense to fit what he did well.
Coach Jones said when he and you and the rest of the staff arrived in 2008, Coach Jones said that one of the first things he needed to do was change the culture into a winning culture at SMU. You talked specifically about teaching your defense to finish plays and stop drives and finish off games. What did you do to instill that mindset in your defense, and how did that educational process come about that let them be more effective last year?
Well, it's like anything else. You just keep preaching it, keep preaching it. The ones that don't believe in it will go a separate way, and the ones that buy in end up staying and becoming successful football players. And we just never compromised the standards that we were teaching, and we changed a few things scheme-wise. And then you get to know your players after that first year. You always look at who are the playmakers, who's making the plays. And we figured out who our players were, and defense was built around those type of kids.
In your first year, you had a freshman but very big defensive end in Taylor Thompson. And then last year you added two more in Marquise Frazier and Margus Hunt. When you add that kind of size up front, what kind of flexibility does that give you as a coach in terms of what you're able to call and what you're able to do with your defense?
Well, anything on defense always starts with your front and your corners. If you got good corners and you have a good front, there's a lot of things you can do. And I like the way we play this thing. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. We've got to play those tackles in there and play on the line of scrimmage of those big defensive ends. And we're going to let our linebackers run and hit. So with those big guys in there, that helped us a lot last year. We weren't getting pushed off the ball. When we were a 4-3 defense, there's just not that many defensive line out there, so you're better off going and getting linebackers that can run and a couple big kids, and let's go play.
There were several times last year, especially in obvious passing situations, where you slid Marquise in from his spot at right defensive end into the nose between Taylor on one side and Margus Hunt on the other. What do you like about that trio? Why is that unit maybe your most effective pass rushing group?
Well, Marquise Frazier is a special athlete, and so is Taylor Thompson. I mean, those kids can run, and they're big, strong, physical kids, and Marquise could play in there in the nose, and then, you know, Hunt coming off that edge. He's just learned how to play football. He's going to be really scary once he gets it all figured out, and I've been impressed with him so far. And it gave us, we had the ability to rush 3, we could rush 4, we could blitz. It just opened the package up so much more. That first year, we just got knocked off the ball.
Okay, you mentioned Margus Hunt, and he might have gotten as much attention last year as any player who's ever played the game without any snaps under his belt. You know, he's from Estonia, he's 6'8". This summer he got up to 290, but What do you remember about the first time this gigantic kid walks into your office, and then that initial teaching process when you took him out on the field and had to start teaching him the very, very basics of football?
Well, first thing when he walked in the office, I said, he looks like something we never had the year before when we were 1-11. And if this kid can walk and chew gum, he's going to be able to help us. So we took him out, and kid ran a 4.740 and a 4.3 shuttle. I said, we'll teach him how to play football. If he's tough enough to play, he'll be able to help us. And first time he put the pads on, you know, it wasn't a pretty picture, but, you know, it's like any freshman. You just keep working with them, and pretty soon they'll get it.
Have you ever gotten someone that new who had literally never played the game? Have you ever had a college player like that?
No.
And had to teach from that level?
No, never have. And that was an experience. But if you're patient with them and they got the toughness to play, you know, I'll take an athlete anytime.
Now that he has a year under his belt, and obviously he got a lot of attention for blocking 7 kicks in his first year of football, but he has a year under his belt. He has a little bit of an idea of what it is that you and Bert Hill, the defensive line coach, want of him. Now that you've seen him on film, seen him in practice, what do you project for him? What kind of potential do you see for him now compared to a year ago when you were just sort of helping him get his feet wet?
Well, you know, developing football players ends up being a process. And that first year, if you can get them lined up and get them in a stance and those type of things, that's growth. The second year, they're going to start making a lot more plays. Usually by the third year is where they really stand out. This is going to be one of those years. I think he's ahead of the learning curve. I would anticipate by the middle to late part of the season, he'll be a dominant player for us. Can we expect that out of him early this year? I don't think that's fair to him. But by the middle of the season, watch out, because you just don't find world-class athletes like that.
Okay, so for all the attention that Chase got at linebacker and that Margus got as being this new sort of experiment that you got off of the non-existent track team, one guy who sometimes got overlooked was Taylor Thompson. He led your team in sacks last year with 5.5, including sacking Trevor Vitito of UTEP to clinch bowl eligibility for the first time in 20 years. Taylor said last week that he's dropped 10 or 12 pounds in an effort to get quicker. Was that something you asked him to do, or is that something he's done on his own? And what are your expectations out of Taylor this season?
Well, I didn't ask him to drop weight, but Mel's done a great job with that off-season program, and those kids are in shape, and that's probably what fits him best. And I've always thought the kid was a phenomenal athlete. That freshman year to come in and play, most of the time a freshman can't play for you. Last year, again, like I said, was more of his learning, developing type year. And he played really well for us. So this year I expect him to be a dominant guy. He should be an all-conference type kid and get a lot of postseason honors. And if he can stay healthy, he'll be as good as any kid in the conference.
Okay, you lost. We talked about the seniors you lost. Chase graduated, Chris Parham, Rock Dennis, Brian McCann, Bryce Hudman, Darius Bell had to retire. Does that make you nervous going into a season with that many new holes to fill in the lineup?
Well, it's college football. You get them for 4 or 5 years and they're gone. And the thing you're going to miss about them, but you hope that the kids pick up on, is these guys establish leadership. They establish the desire to win. They turn the program around, and that's what you build your program on. My first speech to the defense at the start of camp was to go back to the Hawaii Bowl and remember the things that happened that built up to that Hawaii Bowl and the experience of playing in that bowl game in a postseason game. And you take what these kids have given the program and you build on that, and you try to keep those type of thoughts and energies going in the program.
All right, we're going to take one more break. This is PonyFans Live with Chase Kennemer, Tom Mason. We'll be right back.